Hey folks, Jeff Nicholson here. I've seen a few videos where people show off some kind of a haul of comics they got from a convention or some dollar boxes or something, and they're pretty fun. They're pretty mesmerizing. So I thought I got my own little haul here, which is 40 years worth of publisher file copies. That's what's in the two short boxes, and there's a bunch of other stuff that I've appeared in that's related to my career. So let's check it out. These are all chronological in here, so you can probably guess what the first thing is going to be. It's the old underground Ultra Klutz, publishing as Klutz Enterprises. Man, I did this when I was 17, published it when I was 18. The very first one. Then I've got all the old zines from 1984, and there's like a bunch of different editions of these. I would do about 100 at a time. And sometimes I would do different ads and different backup stories. So I've even kept each of these old editions. Looks like there's 4 of the first one. And that's the second one. Different cover than we later had on the number 2 that came later. 1, 2, 3 of those. Then there's number 3. Grab a bunch of these out of here. More 3, number 4. I did one 500 copy run of that one, so there's only one edition. I was selling more, even selling them to distributors back then. It's like 1985. There's number 5. There's Allies, a jam I did with John Howard. And these are some price guides that I did back in the 84, 85 for a local comic book store. And just always looking for some way to get my stuff out there. Here's another jam with Tim Corrigan. This was after I was really getting into the zine scene and wanting to propagate myself in as many different publications as I could. Things like this is a micro comic. Paul Curtis did these. That was number 115, so there's a lot in that series. Pretty cool. I did a lot of mini comics, miscellaneous from high school comics. That was one of the ones I probably contributed to the most. These guys really were in high school, and they were super prolific. And so I still have a few of these. That one was my own issue that I did just for them. Another version of Superhero Overdose I did. And this is I think this is like a fan club thing. This was only for subscribers or something like that. Very few of those out there. This was a book published by, what's his name? Ed Savage, who later worked with slave labor. And he did a little Ultra Klutz preview in this. This was 85 when I was gearing up to go with the nationally distributed like this one was. So this is where I was starting to learn what was next. Fantastic fanzine. I don't even remember what I did inside of that one. That's kind of a hybrid. It's kind of a zine, but it's got color covers. It probably was distributed back then, but I don't even remember what's inside that. Making a pretty big leap in time and a leap in my career as well as we jump to the properly distributed color cover version of Ultra Klutz. And after I had switched from Klutz Enterprises to Onward Comics, this was in the black and white boom, summer of '86. Everything was roses for a while. So well, in fact, that I went monthly with number 2. And I had graduated from college, did graphic design, so I learned all about pre-press and typography and design, and it was just a lot of good timing. So off I went, monthly, had a lot of energy. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's that Tim Corrigan jam got retooled to keep the monthly schedule going. It was always convenient. Oh, and then I was also in his first issue, kind of a crossover. And then Small press got so big for a while that Eclipse got in on the act and reprinted some stuff from the old mini comics. And Matt Feazell was the editor of this one, so I got a piece in that. And issue 4 was, I believe, Paul Curtis was the editor, and I got some work in there too. So starting to get some different publishers. This one, again, I don't recall what's in that. I think that's just like a pinup or something. This is a weird. This was distributed, but again, I think it's kind of a hybrid. It's a lot of zine stuff that someone got distributed when everything was, pretty hot. So even goofy stuff like this was getting distribution. And back to the monthly run, 11, 12. Jam with Steve Willis, also another way to stay monthly. Pull out some old zine stuff and put that in the regular comic. 13, 14, 15, 16, Lost in Space crossover, 2-part issue, 17, 18. Then there's the 5-part Justice Chumps Epic, 19, 20, 21, 21. This was a hell of a lot of fun, folks. If you can't tell, I was having quite a time doing all this stuff. Still in my 20s. 22, 23, 24. Then I went bi-monthly. A little harder to keep it going monthly. 25, 26, 27, and then time to go on hiatus because things were, the black and white boom was black and white bustin'. So I did a page in Cerebus. Still doing the occasional jam in a zine kind of thing like that. And I did some publishing on, I went back to zines, I think, because of the hiatus, and I did some Steve Willis archives, just out of passion for his work. So I did those and sold those on a small scale back in those times. More of those. I think I did 4 of those. Those are probably real hard to find. Ed Thud, I don't remember what I did in that. Oh, I also did Ted Bowman collections. Similar thing, old zines that I put together, and even though I was on hiatus from Ultra Klutz, you couldn't keep me from being busy. I was a busy bee. A lot of energy. All the Bowman archive. Boy, there's a lot of them. Holy cow. This is crap. I wouldn't want to look at that. This was a Finnish edition of something. I forget what that was. This was another zine I did, just random stuff. Just staying busy. Oh yeah, and then while being busy not making comics, I made comics about not making comics. I made Nicholson Small Press Tirade. That was kind of controversial. It lived on in different forms. Then I came out of the hiatus with Ultra Klutz 28, 29, 30, and 31. And, let's pause there. So another pretty big transition point here. This is when I first started doing the Through the Habit Trails short stories. And Dave Sim published the first several pages of that as a backup in Cerebus. And that led to them being published in Taboo, which those have been sitting over there haunting us from on the side. There's 4 issues plus the Taboo Especial. And that kicked off Habit Trails, and that really changed things for me. Showed people I was not just, a one-note wonder, I guess, with Ultra Klutz. And so it was kind of a surprise for me and for others. And so that led to my first, I guess it would be my first graphic novel, which would be, these are out of order. Oh, they're both in one bag. So I did my own collected Through the Habit Trails, I believe in 91? I can't even remember the years. Maybe 94. And then I also did, because that was fairly successful, then I did the Nicholson's Tirade, which collected up all the miscellaneous stuff. under that one graphic novel format. And then went on, let's see here. And since I was kind of in that dark humored mode from Habit Trails, I did the sequel to Ultra Klutz, which was called Lost Laughter. And that was not a big success and did not surprise anybody or get much interest out of anybody. But I was in the first group of Xeric Grant recipients for that. So that was a feather in the cap just for that. Did 4 issues and it did not continue. And so thankfully the chapters continued in Negative Burn, which I think Dave Pruitt was the editor there. So that was nice to have it continue. And they paid me a modest page rate. I think this was a weird Image comic. Jim Valentino was offering free ads on the back. So, hey, if you put together some film for us, we'll print it for free. So I kept that. That was pretty cool. Oh, there's another transition point. Some honorary mentions here. This is the Underground and New Wave price guide that came out in 1982. And I just made it with Ultra Klutz being published in 1981 that I got in there. So that's why I have that. A little point of pride. And then Overstreet, the 17th edition, they actually put black and white Boom comics in there, and then later they took them out. So this is the one issue that has the issues of Ultra Klutz and all that stuff briefly. Then it went back to just regular mainstream comics. And then another footnote was at this point I was publishing as Bad Habit instead of Onward Comics, I think starting with the graphic novels and Lost Laughter. And then after Lost Laughter finished, I was ready for something different. So I put together this ash can for Father and Son. And that got me, actually got me a gig with Kitchen Sink Press for Father and Son. And this is the one that was, it was 4 issues, 1994-ish, 1995, 3, 4. Another issue of Cerebus that I had something in there. Don't remember. And then, something I don't talk about much, but I did coloring for DC. Still trying to just make a living from comics. Stuff that I don't even have much thoughts on it these days. The Dark Stars was not a great comic. That was kind of a... I don't even know what to say about that at this point. I think there were a couple of good books in there. Dark Stars was not so great. Green Lantern was kind of a hoot since I grew up with those comics. Oh, let me hold that aside for a sec. Green Lantern. These were cool to work on. This is Batman and Robin Adventures. I think it was Ty Templeton, and they had limited palette. So those were nice. Those were cool. The rest just, it's a living, as Bugs Bunny would say. Yuck, yuck. Can't believe I still have those. This was something Chad Woody did. Shout out to Chad Woody if you're watching this. Has a little Habit Trails thing in this spinning wheel, the Fluby Comics viewer that he created. That's pretty cool. Over to the other short box now, and this is the second edition of Through the Habit Trails. It just seemed like it should stay alive, so it was a bit of a doing, but got another edition out. And what was in here? No Regrets was something I worked on after Habit Trails just to kind of stay limber and keep my drawn chops going. And that was published again in Negative Burn, thanks to Dave Pruitt, or Joe Pruitt, I forget. There's 2 brothers that are there. And some more of those. Yes, forget how many issues of Negative Burn for the whole No Regrets saga. Quite a few. Wow. 8 or 9, something like that. Or 10. Gee. Or maybe I have some because of the letters column that came in following the last of my issues. Kept those for nostalgia. Then I was going to do a 5th issue of Father and Son, and that was the only comic I solicited with Diamond and didn't ship, and so I just did a zine version of it. It only sold about 1,100 copies, which is perfectly fine these days, but I just didn't follow through with it. I thought the world was coming to an end, only selling 1,100 copies of a comic. More coloring, more Batman and Robin, there's some of the good ones. I don't remember what that is. I think now we're getting to, I was courted by Vertigo to do an issue of The Dreaming, and I think this has a preview or something in it. Geez, I don't even remember what. Oh yeah, I think this has the preview, and then there's my issue, issue 15. That's my one and only comic I did for the Big Two. Had to try it at least once. By the way, again, over here in the side section, here's the collected Dreaming that has issue 15 in it. So it also came out in a collection. That's kind of cool. Then I did another father and son short story for a local comic shop, Joe Field, Flying Colors. Great shop, great guy. And he published a father and son story in there. More Cerebus. I think that's probably just a letter or some kind of text piece or something that I was involved in. Don't remember. Then it's off to Colonia. So time for something new. Colonia. Inspired by Bone and comics for all readers, younger readers. And I wanted to try that, so off I went. That's in 1997 at this point, I think. And quick detour because I was selling more again. Colonia did well. That went back and did that father and son material that I didn't follow through on, so I did a father and son special. And I did an Ultra Klutz Dreams, 2 comics that had some material that I was able to gang print these 2 together and put them out. So things were going good. Oh, there's that collection again. Already talked about that. Then Colonia #1 actually had a second printing, the only comic I've ever done that has a color-covered newsstand comic that has 2 editions, because it was doing pretty well. Then there's Colonia 2, Colonia 3, Colonia 4, 5. Oh, there's the second edition. It's got a slightly different logo. 6. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That brings us all the way up to like 2005. So it took some years to get all those out. Oh, I did these bargain bags to sell back issues to distributors. Five issues and a little signed and numbered card. And those did pretty good. I moved a lot of back issues by doing that. So, got to try something. And I threw in a father and son. How funny. Then some of these are a little out of order because there's some odd size things in here. There's the Ultra Klutz Book 1, 1996. The Book 2, I think that's like 2002 or something. That came later. Colonia Collected Editions from AIT, early 2000s. Oh, jumping all the way ahead. Now there's the 3rd edition of Through the Habit Trails with Dover Books. My own father and son collection that came out early 2000s. Cult Comics. This was someone talked me into reprinting some Habit Trails chapters, and but I got a little bit of money, and there were 2 editions. There's a English and an American edition. They're a little bit different. That's why I have 2 of those. And Nicholson's Tirade was reprinted in a little Fantagraphics book, Treasury of Mini Comics Volume 2. One last little pile of oddities here now. Here's the No Regrets skateboard DVD. Somebody asked me if I could use the image and title from that, and I said sure, and they sent me a copy. A book about Neil Gaiman, which I think I have some connection in there because of Habit Trails being in Taboo, and Neil Gaiman was going to do Sweeney Todd and Taboo, so I believe that got me some mentions in there as a contributor to that. This is really goofy. The Fandom Directory. This is how they used to, people with computers, comic book nerds back in the mid-'80s with computers would put out this directory of fandom across, comics and movies and whatnot. It's probably role-playing. And I had some superhero overdose strips in there. So I was always just trying to promote myself in some way. This was a graphic novel bibliography. I met this lady at a convention. She did a good job. This is back when people were still trying to do things in print. So this is pretty comprehensive and kind of a scholarly approach to cataloging all the known graphic novels of the day. Vertigo Visions. This has the cover of my Dreaming issue in it. So I got that. This is Comic Book Superstars. This was Krause Publications, Donna Maggie Thompson. It's kind of goofy. People could send in their pictures, and I participated, and I still have it. I don't know what I think of it now. This is oversized, but this is from the zine days. This was Chuck Bunker's Diddly Squat. Chuck Bunker was a pretty awesome small press dude. He has passed on a long time ago. Advanced Comics. These are the catalogs for distributors. I used to throw them out, but I kept this one just because it's the one that has the Ultra Klutz Book 1 in it, just for nostalgia. A couple issues of the Comics Journal that I think there's a review of Colonia and a review of probably Habit Trails in those. What else do we got? Kitchen sink ephemera. Their catalogs and things, probably promoting father and son. I think there's one where I got on the cover. Maybe not. There it is. And kitchen sink pipeline. I kept all these goodies. Old magazine about comics that I was in. This is funny. This is a program for my very first comic book convention in 1985. Sutter County, Yuba County Convention. There's an ad for Ultra Klutz in it. I was so eager I bought an ad. 2 issues of Hyena that I was in, or 3 issues. This one, and the first one. First one's pretty good. They only ran 4 issues, I think. Here's a real oddball. So Tower Pulse, Tower Records had this magazine, and they were doing comics, and they did it through the Habit Trails page. And this has never been reprinted in any of the collections. It just doesn't line up with it properly, so this is the only place you're going to find it. That's a real kind of a rarity. I used to have a lot of these. I probably only just have the one now. What else? Almost done. Character design for graphic novels. They showcased Colonia as a character design, so that was nice to be invited to be a part of that. And the Big Book series from Paradox Press. I have a 1 page in one of these, Book of Little Criminals, and I think 2 pages in this one, Big Book of Losers. So did some work for technically Vertigo and Paradox as the part of my Big 2 brief period of work. Then last but not least, here's the newest stuff. These are the ones you can get now through Indie Planet. These are print on demand. Finally did the full father and son omnibus. You can get the whole, every father and son story. No regrets. You can get it as a single comic, nice glossy comic. And you can get Ultra Klutz Season 1, the first 4 of the new Ultra Klutz issues that were released digitally. And the second season is with the printer right now. I'm getting my proof copies. I'll throw an image of that on the screen at the end here. And thanks for watching. Hope you found this as amusing as I did. Take care. Bye.